We're talking about our top 10 Kickstarters from 2019.
Hey guys, and thanks for joining us at Tantrum House Studio 3. I'm Will Meadows.
And I'm Sara Meadows, and this is our top 10 Kickstarters of 2019. Now, we are only including games that we made a preview video for here at Studio 3. Kevin and Melissa also have a top 10 video of games that they previewed. And then, there's tons of great games that hit Kickstarter every year. We don't get a chance to play them all and especially make videos for them all. So our list will just include the ones that we made here at Tantrum House Studio 3.
Yeah, and I believe we did like nearly 50 videos this year, so a lot of different Kickstarter campaigns to choose from. Picking our top favorite 10 was not an easy chore.
No,
there were a
wasn't.
lot of great games that we looked at this year, so we'll probably throw in a couple honorable mentions, but I think we're ready to start rolling with number 10.
Number 10.
Alright, so before we actually jump in, let's give a shout out to a couple different campaigns that we had trouble ranking in there, but we wanted to recognize them because we definitely did enjoy them and they put together a really great campaign. One of those is the game Godspeed. We didn't actually do a preview video for that, we did a playthrough, so that's why it didn't make the list, but really solid game.
Yeah, same with Coloma. I thoroughly enjoyed Coloma. We didn't actually make a playthrough video of that, we just did a playthrough.
Two more are Dungeon Drop. That was one that my kids really enjoyed this past year. You drop a bunch of tokens and pieces onto the board and then you triangulate and actually make rooms in the dungeon. Very neat one, very small one. The kids really had a blast with that one. And
another one that I would like to include as an honorable mention is Ignite. This one is a deck builder. There were tons and tons of cards that they had sent us to play as the deck builder. And then there is also a map with miniatures that you are using your deck to go out and attack other players. And they really brought something new to that deck building genre and new things to gameplay, which I thought was exciting.
Yep, that was a cool one. The actual number 10 on our list is 5-Minute Mystery from Wiggles 3D. The same people that brought us 5-Minute Dungeon, I think that's what it's called.
5-Minute Marvel.
Yeah, 5-Minute Marvel, brought a whole different type of game where you're using an app still, counting down your timer, and you've got some really cool things going on. Part of the game is finding images in a hidden image, finding icons in a hidden image, and then dialing them in. Once you do that, you then jump to the table to unlock a clue and find out if your culprit, the person who's stolen from the museum, matches those items. And just some really neat components, really interesting gameplay, very, very different style of game. Our kids very much enjoyed it, and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a really neat one.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see how this one turns out once they're finished with manufacturing. It has a super cool 3D codex that you're using to dial in the correct answer.
I'm not sure how much replayability you'll get out of it. Hopefully you get a lot because it is a really neat one. It's definitely one that's going to make it onto the table at our game nights when we're playing it with new people because it's just so fun looking that you just can't resist. When you pull all the pieces out, you're kind of drawn to it. A lot of fun stuff. 5-Minute Mystery. Number 9.
So number 9 is Terrible Low from Renegade Game Studios. This one is a very immersive game where you are out in the desert and trying to collect eggs to do research on the worm aliens that have attacked.
Yeah, the game is a pickup and delivery. You've got some very cool components in the game. Renegade knocked it out of the park as far as table presence and board art. You've got little wooden cars, you've got little plastic eggs, you've got all kinds of cards and different things. Everything in the game makes really good sense. It's a really neat one where it's not really cooperative, you're really just trying to survive and do the best job of avoiding the rubble that explodes up onto the board and then make your deliveries to the different locations, but very, very thematic. The gameplay and the mechanics match really well together and the art style is pretty awesome.
Number 8. Number 8 on our list is Shaolia Warring States from Bad Comet. This one is a tableau builder that's got a little bit of engine building in it, and you are filling in spaces on your little civilization and then duking it out with the other players.
Yeah, this seemed like a simple enough game. It really just kind of checked a lot of boxes for me. It's dice rolling, and then you're using your proceeds to buy additional cards. You're building out your territory. The game comes with like a campaign manual so that you can actually kind of fuel, like what goes into it's almost deck building. Like you've got a store where you're buying tiles to put into your game, and then the tiles that go out there, those cards are based on whichever scenario you're playing. So you might be like really heavy on war and you're fighting against each other, or you might be building up your civilization and you're just trying to grow your resources. It really just had a really nice art style that I enjoyed. It was the right pace. I had a lot of fun with that. And then just overall, a really enjoyable experience playing it. So
yeah, and they also did great on their Kickstarter.
Yeah, good stuff on there. Number 7 on our list is Fossilis from Kids Table Board Gaming. This game had some very interesting components to it, a very different feel to the gameplay experience. We have only obviously played the prototype version of it, and so I'll be really curious to see how all the final pieces really kind of come together. But in the game, you are acting as, not archaeologists, but people who are moving ground around trying to find fossils in an actual physical pit. You're using some nifty tweezers to be able to pull things out, and it's a lot of set collection. Pretty cool stuff going on.
Yeah, this one is made for kids, but I would say adults can definitely enjoy playing this game with their kids, but also just with other adults. It's got enough strategy in the game with the set collecting that you will need to plan and think what you're going to do. And then there is the mystery of all those little tiles on the board. You gain certain ones by using a certain number of actions. So there is definite planning and then a little bit of mystery since you don't know where those pieces are hidden inside the pit. So trying to plan when something doesn't go your way and you can't get what you need, or someone else just knocks your person right off the dig site. So there's a lot of fun things that can happen in this one. Number 6.
Next up is Honey Buzz from Elf Creek Games. This is a 1 to 4 player worker placement game that, in all honesty, I didn't actually get a chance to play. It came in so quick, everybody else swarmed around it, and then it was outswarmed, and then it was out the door. It looked very cool, though. I think a number of bee-themed games came out this year, and of all the ones that I saw, this one definitely seemed like it employed the theme into the mechanics and into the components the best. When she suggested putting it on the list, it sounded great, so I was all in favor. What did you actually think of the game?
So I love the gameplay itself. It's a worker placement, and then there are 2 different modes that you can use to set up the game and play. One of them has more of a memory and thinking about what ratios of types of flowers are out in the field, and then the other one is more of a movement-based grid-like movement through the field to gain the nectar that you need, and then has just a little bit of economics in it to where the first person is going to get the best price for selling their honey and nectar, and then it will go down the more that it is sold at market. So it's got a lot of different things going on, and just how the hexes in your own personal hive fit together, and then depending on how you do that is what type of honey you're able to produce. Lots of things going on, but very great. All works together very well.
Number 5.
Our number 5 is Moonrakers. This is a deck building game that adds some few twists to it. You have a little bit of negotiating where you have contracts out on the board that are worth points, and you can gain other items from completing those. But most of the time you cannot complete them yourself, so you'll need to ask others for help. So there is a little bit of negotiating on who gets to keep which spoils from the contract.
Yeah, 1 to 5 players, semi-cooperative, because you've got to be able to achieve those together, but it's very much a negotiation game where you are offering them a little bit of help in exchange for a little bit of reward, hoping to get more reward out of it than the help that you offer. The game moves pretty quick. It's got some really cool components. The artwork for it, I really liked the dark aesthetic, but just had a very soft and nice feel to it. Play is not hard to pick up. It's a relatively straightforward mechanic in the game. You're just trying to achieve those couple of things each turn, but the way that you do it and the way that you manage your resources is really going to be the key to your victory.
Yeah, and it does have your own ship that you can upgrade components to with specific cards that you can gain from those spoils and purchase with stuff from your deck. So a lot of stuff going on, but a great deck builder. Number 4.
The number 4 spot on our list goes to Manchukuo from Penguin and Panda Productions. This is a pretty meaty worker placement game that has a lot of different stuff going on. The base concept of the game is that you've got different color meeple workers that you're sending out to different places on the board, and the area majority color in each area will affect how you gain control of that space and what resources and benefits that you get when those players return at the end of the evening. A lot of cool stuff going on.
Yeah, I think Mike really knocked it out of the park with this one. He did a great job of really incorporating the theme. This is about when Japan invaded China and had control over that part of northern China in Manchukuo, and so really did a great job of incorporating that theme in a very reverent way, I think. So did a great job with that one.
Yeah, you have to be careful as you send out your workers not to send too many, because then you'll raise suspicion and then your school will be affected by that, but you're still trying to train your students, you're trying to help the community, you're trying to gain those different resources. A lot of really neat stuff going on. I also really enjoyed the art style for it. The board itself is like this big round thing that you're going all over the place on. Just a lot of really neat elements incorporated. Number 3. All right, so we're getting down to the final 3. These were ones that were a little bit harder for us to pick through and sort. If you've seen my top 10 board games from 2019 list, you may have an idea of some of the ones that appear in the finale of this. But the next up is
Nouvelle France. So this game came to Kickstarter once. They had a little bit difficult time finding a manufacturer who could get the pieces that they needed for this game, which are cubes glued together to make very specific three-dimensionally put together pieces. You put those pieces out to build some specific buildings in Nouvelle France, and which I think is not a theme that is done much. So I like that they use something new. That after each round is scored, snow falls on the different buildings, and then you'll have to keep building up as you're trying to build these buildings during winter. One really cool thing is that they relaunched this later in the year, and it was doing okay. It was so close to funding, and a lot of people got on social media and said, you need to back this game. This is one of my favorite games that I have played this year. So I was very excited that lots of people rallied right at the end to do an amazing last couple of days to push it over the end and make it past their goal.
Yeah, really, really gorgeous aesthetics. The components for the game do look fantastic. I will be really curious to see what the final finished pieces look like. The game that we had was obviously handcrafted. The prototype was.
It was actually really nice.
Oh, it looked amazing. It looked very good on the table. You've got this, you're playing this abstract, building game, but I don't know that I've ever seen a more attractive looking abstract game. It all just comes together to make this beautiful table presence. Really creates an exciting mood. Very neat gameplay. Congratulations to them on that one. If you get a chance to check it out, I don't know where you'll be able to find copies, but good luck. One thing I was going to mention is the GameSteward.com is a place where you can go to try and find some old Kickstarter games. So if you're looking for a game, can't find it anywhere else, check out the Game Steward, because they work to team up with Kickstarter creators who have produced games and who don't have like PSI or other shipping options, and so
distributors.
Yeah, so it's a really great way to be able to find some games that you may have missed in previous years.
Number 2.
We're down to number 2, and we arm wrestled. Apparently Sarah beat me, because this game is actually number 1 on my 2019 list, but we put it in a really good spot here, and that is Parks from Keymaster Games.
Yeah, now this one, I actually super love the gameplay. I'll have a reason for number 1 in a moment when we get to that, but this one, we received a very nice prototype in the mail, had a great time playing it, but the final production quality on this game is absolutely amazing. They did a wonderful job of incorporating the 59 Parks series artwork from artists all over the United States and incorporating it into a game that fits the theme very well. You go on a hiking trail and you're gaining certain resource tokens like water and sunlight and things like that you will see along your hike, and then you will use those and spend them to visit a national park, and the tokens that you need are actual things you will see at the national park. So if you go to Glacier National Park, you're going to need water and mountains and other things. So those are the things that you will actually see while you're there. Super cool. Love that about the game.
Yep. Great incorporation of theme, really high quality components. Very, very satisfied with the final game. We've had a lot of fun playing this with a lot of different types of people. It's a light enough game that the board kind of sets itself up and tells you where everything is going to go, and it's easy enough to jump into. But there is a decent amount of strategy buried in there. Not even buried. Like, you kind of get into it and you realize, like, oh, I could be way more strategic about this, or I can play a casual game and buzz through and see whatever my score is. Had a really great time with this. Really, really enjoyed it. Looking forward to whatever comes next from those guys, because Keymaster's been knocking it out of the park. Number one!
Number one goes to Calico from Flatout Games. I had a really hard time picking between Parks and Calico, and what beat it out this time was that this is Flatout's first Kickstarter campaign, and they did an amazing job this first time around being a company that nobody knew about and doing a very well done Kickstarter. I have to say, their gameplay for Calico and their artwork and from Beth Sobel and the whole package for Calico was very, very well done. The gameplay itself, you have 2 tiles in your hand and you lay one anywhere on your board. It doesn't matter where it goes. And then you draw a new one. And the setup is easy. You pick 3 scoring tiles that everybody will pick one for the round, and then that's what you'll use for the gameplay. And there is a wide variety of what may be very difficult and what may not be, and so you can vary it up for different levels of players.
Yeah, one of the things that really won it over for me was just the restoration of my faith that you can take a very simple concept, very clean, very simple artwork, and you can really make something that's an addictive game. We really did have a great time playing this one. It's super easy to set up. You immediately jump in. It's easy to explain to other people. But then every tile that you place on that board is like this brain-scratching, intense. If I put it here, I can maybe score this thing. If I put it here, I can score this thing. I can't put it here. I've only got these 3 choices. It's one of those games that it just hurts your brain in a really good way.
Yeah, and you have no restrictions. You can place it anywhere you want, but yet you've put those restrictions on yourself where I've used green tiles over here and I need to have green and blue around this scoring place, and I would like to add a cat to my quilt, but the cat's not gonna come if I don't have these things set up and lined up in this perfect way. So it just has a lot of thinking that can go on if you're to that level, but it can be a very simple, fun game to just enjoy on an afternoon as well.
Yeah, really elegant design in the gameplay, really elegant design in the artwork. This is definitely the type of game that will probably become an app someday and will have billions of sales, because the game strategy play is just so addictive, so simple. I could just see you playing it with your thumb all day long.
Yeah, and it's got cats. I mean, that's a...
Yep. Really awesome stuff. Check out Calico if you haven't had a chance to see what that looks like. I'm sure they're probably taking late pledges. Really, really excellent game, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. A lot of backers are going to be really happy about that.
Thanks for joining us here at our top 10. I'm very excited to see what comes out in 2020. So be sure to check out our other videos and subscribe to Tantrum House.
The number 7 on our list is Fossilis from Big Kids Table Gaming. I don't even know. I can't get it to come out at all. Kids Table Board Gaming. KTBG.